Minutes later, in the opposite direction, are 67 380 and 381 on the 1405 Bordeaux to Quimper. This is the 1750 La-Rochelle to Bordeaux. The A837 motorway is in the background. Finally, the 1708 Bordeaux to Nantes rounds the corner with another pair of BB 67-400 diesels. We begin this section to the east of Tours at Amboise, on the northern shore of the River Loire, on the main line from Orléans, as an early morning commuter train arrives on the service for Tours on the 7th of May 2003. Although a fast TGV line direct to Paris takes most of the intercity traffic away from this classic old route, there is still plenty of local passenger and freight traffic to be seen. Here, BB 9271, a class dating from 1957, arrives with the 0647 departure from Tours. The wide open and flat countryside adjacent to the river provides ample opportunities for the railway photographer visiting the area. Freight tends to be best observed in the early morning, when many of the longer distance services run. Here 26199 heads east towards Orléans, close to the rural station of Noisy. The closed station at Vernon is seen here as 22225 heads west shortly after 8 AM. On weekdays, the eastbound line has an afternoon maintenance shutdown between 1 PM and 3 PM, whilst the westbound track closes between 9:30 and 11:30 AM. The main railway hotspot in the area is undoubtedly at Saint-Pierre-de-Corps. Apart from the main station and locomotive depot, the principal marshalling yard for this part of western France is also located here. Freight liveried diesel 67534 trundles a rake of empty grain hoppers out of the departure sidings and prepares to head for the non-electrified main line to Vierzon. TGV and local haul passenger services are frequent. A Class BB 22200 electric arrives with a westbound intermodal. The road bridge here is very close to the village of Les Vallies and provides for some good morning and evening photographic opportunities. One of only a handful remaining in original green livery, number 9225 heads west. Diesel 72052 heads the 0842 from Tours to Lyon. On the western side of the yard, adjacent to the locomotive depot, another overbridge offers good views of the line. Here, single voltage 7329 arrives from the west with an intermodal service from the Spanish border. Brakes of freight wagons are propelled over the yard's hump facility by pairs of 63,000 locomotives. This is 63851 and 64005. Over 30 dual-voltage BB 25500 electrics are allocated to the local depot, working freight all over the central and northern part of the country. RER passenger services are hauled by Class 26,000 electrics and connect most of the major towns located along the river down to Nantes. Introduced in 1996 and operating at 200 km per hour, there are around 4 trains per day in each direction. New electric units are making an appearance, as in this example seen heading east. In the hour we spent on this bridge mid-morning, we saw over 30 movements, which is typical for normal weekday operations. To the east of Tours, on the main line to Vierzon, the landscape is excellent for photography. Here, 72025 heads the 0916 from Nevers near the village of Valmorin on 7th of May 2003. Push-pull rakes powered by BB 67400 diesels usually operate on local passenger services. Freight services along this route are fairly light and are mainly long distance. Here, 67462 heads the 1302 departure from Saint-Pierre-de-Corps. In a future issue of European Railway, we will study the variety of traffic to be seen to the west of Tours.
New BB 27300 Prima electric locos, of which 60 are on order, were expected to begin to take over duties such as this from the 18th of September. Meanwhile, the old order passes by in the shape of 25610. A little further north at Nizelle-Aulnay station, BB 25612 is on the rear of this, the 1405 from Mantes to Paris. This line has a sparse 90-minute service frequency at weekends, although this is increased on a Monday to Friday when commuters pack the trains. There are nearly 20 Class BB 25500 locomotives allocated to suburban duties around Paris, with all being allocated to Montrouge depot. The locos are a dual-voltage version of the BB 8500 and the BB 17000 designs and date from between 1964 and 1976. As 25612 departs, the driver applies the sanders to ensure grip after a recent heavy rainstorm had made the rails slippery. This is Fontenay-le-Fleury station just west of Saint-Cyr, as Z5300 unit number 350 arrives with an all-station stopping service from Plaisir-Guignon to Paris-Montparnasse. These units date back to the mid-1960s. Moving to the south now, on the main route to Le Mans, we are at the west end of the once important Trappes marshalling yard. Here it is the 1500-volt DC-equipped Class 8500 locomotives that work services on this RERC suburban line. Here number 8598 heads towards the station at Le Verrières. Freight traffic is few and far between, with just block trains such as this appearing. In a 90-minute stay, this was the only freight we saw. Loco number 26062 is in charge. With another 12 months before the complete withdrawal of the older electrics, it will still be possible to catch them in action. Our final scene shows 8597 picking up speed as it heads south. Freight traffic on this line has dropped considerably compared to just a few years ago. Here 66238 hurries south with a freight for the Paris region. The final Class 25500 electrics have now been withdrawn from freight work, with just a couple now employed on passenger duties being loaned out to Swiss railways for work around Geneva. The class were recently employed on passenger duties around Nevers, but we understand this too has just finished. However, the 25600 numbered locos still remain active on passenger work, mainly around Lyon. Orders for new TER-2M-NG Class Z26500 5-car double-deck EMUs have just been announced and will be used on Paris-Rouen stopping services, replacing trains such as this from 2008. At Uzelle station, south of Rouen, on Friday 7th July 2006, 16103 heads for Paris with a train of double-deck stock. X4750 two-car diesel units are also fast disappearing from these routes, with most of their duties being undertaken by new modern units, or 3-car class X4900 units based at Sotteville. 16047 passes over the River Seine just south of the station. Our last location in this feature is just to the south of Sotteville Yard, as number 17026 propels this stopping service north towards Rouen. In the background, a large factory with extensive rail connections lies closed and abandoned, a scene typical throughout this part of France. Meanwhile, a Class Z 76500 unit overtakes the train whilst on a working from Caen. Most freight traffic in this region is now worked by Class 2700 electrics, such as seen here behind 27140. Other freight can be worked by BB 22200 or BB 26000s. Finally, 16050 gets into its stride whilst heading the 1706 from Le Havre to Paris. In part 2 of this feature, we will look at activity in and around the main yard at Sotteville. We start this section on 26th of June 2002 as Class A1A 68000 diesel, number 68045, arrives at just after 7 AM. The Class 68000s and similar 68500s were slated for withdrawal from normal traffic duties, but as a result of the building of new high-speed lines across France, some have been retained in order to work ballast trains between work sites. 68081 is the only member of the original 68000 class still in traffic, being based at Chalindrey. Mainline expresses to and from Paris were usually hauled by Civic Class 26000 electrics, as indeed they still are today. At the southeast end of the station, Z7300 unit number 17349 arrives with a local service from Châteauroux to Orléans. Freight traffic was around 2 an hour in each direction when we paid our visit. Having come off a northbound working and about to retire to the stabling point is number 7278. Tor allocated X4403 is seen on the 0705 service from Bourges. Class CC 72,000 diesels are still found on this route, working freight and a number of passenger trains between Tours and Lyon. In this view, 72050 arrives with the 0615 terminating service from Montluçon. 72052 arrives with the 0706 from Orléans to Lyon-Perrache. This locomotive ended up spending 34 years in traffic, having been withdrawn on 21st of December 2005.
Le train express régional centre, numéro 861 555, à destination de Bourges, départ 8h, partira OUEST. Il dessert Vierzon-Forges, Poissy, Mehun-sur-Yèvre, Marmagne, Bourges.
"74 Class Z 5300 units remain in operation, but sadly number 5389 isn't one of them. This unit arrives with a service from Bourges to Orléans, its withdrawal having taken place on 29th of December 2003. There are a number of freight services that run between Tours and Lyon, as well as destinations in between. 16 of these locos still remain with the freight sector, whilst a further 5 are allocated to passenger duties. In this view, 72065, a loco still in use today by the passenger sector, pulls away with a lengthy southbound working. We returned to the north end of the station to await the arrival of the 0544 service from Brive to Paris, headed by number 26167.
SNCF vous invite à ne laisser aucun bagage ou objet sans surveillance. Nous vous demandons de nous signaler tout colis ou passagers suspects.
Many of the Class BB 9200s that were common on this route were withdrawn in 2003 and 2004. This collection are stabled between duties. Number 67401 and 67613 arrive with this northbound freight. Very few withdrawals of this class have taken place over the years, but with two being taken out of traffic over the last couple of months, this could indicate the beginning of a gradual decline of this classic French diesel design. All but one of these X4300 diesel units have now been withdrawn. They were the classic French design from the 1960s. A number were refurbished and received new cabs, as in the example seen here, whilst others remained unmodified and stayed in their original red and cream livery. Introduced to traffic on 21st of October 1985, Y8263 is still active today. It is seen here on station pilot duties. The loco has since lost its orange livery in favour of the new freight grey and green livery. We now travel back to 1995, as we see this BB 8500 electric arriving with a northbound freight. These locomotives were common in this area, working freights to and from Toulouse. The majority of these locos were withdrawn in 2003 and 2004, although some are still used on commuter trains west of Paris and on regional services around Toulouse. The Class 9200s were in charge of most of the north-south express passenger services. BB 9266 is seen here. This loco began its service on 7th of May 1960 and ended its career on 21st of December 2005 whilst based at Saint-Pierre-de-Corps depot. The Class 68,000s handled a good proportion of the freight services on the line to and from Tours. Here 68044 arrives from the north. This loco was withdrawn on 26th of May 2003 when stationed at Rouen. Our final scene shows 8615 and 8544 departing the yard with a southbound freight. Number 8615 is still active today, working around Toulouse, whilst 8544 succumbed in August 2004. Dating from the early 1970s, the BB 67-400 diesels allocated to the passenger sector will be the first to see mass withdrawals as a result of the influx of new stock. Here 67611 arrives with a 1727 Nantes to Bordeaux service on 16th of July 2007. This area will change even more over the next year or so as electrification from Nantes progresses south. New electric multiple units will begin to appear, replacing a good number of the 1970s built X4630 diesel units currently working some of the local services. Here number 4670 arrives with the 1815 from Nantes. La-Roche-sur-Yon is the chief town in the region, covering over 11 cantons. It also has a population of over 55,000. Finally, number 67320 arrives with the 1815 from Les Sables-d'Olonne to Nantes. This train is formed of 4 Vert coaches, or bangers as they are also commonly known, all of which in this instance are painted in their original green livery. Most of this type of stock has since been withdrawn, although there are still a few rakes hanging on in some parts of France.